Bobbyfi, the man, Eric Tabor. We're going to be talking about the U.S. Open, which I will be attending. It'll be my first.
Let's go.
It'll be fun, yeah. So I'm going to be there Thursday at least, and then we'll see how it goes, and then maybe figure out the rest of the weekend. So it should be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to this. I've already done some research, and man, it feels like there's like 150 guys who I just really like. So I'm going to need to whittle down a little bit, Sheets. So
So one downside about doing it Tuesday is my ownership projections are pretty loose right now. I have about 50% of the ownership projections in. So that's going to change. I don't say dramatically, but it's got to change a little bit over the next day. So I'm really going to be focusing on who I like. You know what I mean? Not so much who I think will be low. Although some guys we could kind of key in on who's going to be high owned. I mean, I have a couple of guys that I'm looking at that are kind of looking to be really, really popular. We'll talk about all that stuff. But yeah, I'm ready to rumble.
All right, let's get into it. Let's pull up your screen, and we're going to go tier by tier and talk through who we like. And I mean, I'm going to try to narrow down my list, but I'm telling you, when I tried to narrow it down the first time, I ended up actually with like 40 golfers. So
nice
as priorities. So it's going to be tricky. All right, Cheats, who do you like above 10K? And that seems like a stupid question because it's hard not to like all these guys, I think.
Yeah, I like them all. I like Scheffler, Rahm, Cantlay, and Koepka. Oddly, I'm not getting. I shouldn't say that. I think Hovland's pretty freaking close, if you want to know the truth. To all those guys. So I do like all of them. If I'm going to identify who's going to be the lowest owned, I mean, this doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm looking at like Scheffler at 16%, and then Rahm at like 11, Cantlay at like only 9, like Koepka like only 9. I don't think that can actually be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have Hovland at like 15. So we're gonna have to look. Like, who do you think is going to be the most popular? How about that? Like all these guys.
I think it's going to be Scheffler most popular. I think that Cantlay will be. It'll be close between Rahm and Cantlay at second. Okay. And then I think I don't buy that Brooks is not going to get any ownership. So, but if he doesn't, that's a very easy play to make. The problem is I like all of these guys as well. If I had to rank them, boy, it's been a really long time since I ranked anybody ahead of John Rahm. But I would have Scheffler, Rahm, Cantlay. Maybe the discount is enough to say Cantlay. For those of you who don't know, like Cantlay is like, it's a local course to where he went to UCLA. He's probably played this course more than any of these guys have. It's a different course, obviously, for the U.S. Open, but just something to keep in mind. And I thought that would sort of skyrocket ownership on him, but there's just too many good golfers, and Hovland's in the best form of anyone not named Scheffler or Rahm. So it's a tough list. I have Scheffler, then Rahm, then Cantlay, then Brooks, then Hovland. But I'm very, very open to fading all of them because the next range is completely loaded as well.
Yeah, so this is where we're probably going to be a little different, okay? Because I like two guys in the 9K range and really nobody else. And the two guys I like in the 9K range are going to be uber popular. So I like Rory and Xander, and they're both going to be really chalky. And and again, I'm just comparing the rankings to where I usually see them in my sheets here. I usually just see the 9K guys as rated a little bit higher. So my build is not going to be your typical sheets build, I don't think, where I trash the 10Ks and just like play everything middling. I think I'm going to end up like avoiding the 9Ks, which is obviously really nasty, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of good golfers with this whole field, right? But I think that the 9Ks is going to be if I had to guess, is going to be where I come in underweight, which is pretty brutal if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do my little Rory spiel again. Like, I understand they made him a different price. I understand he's below 10K. That's going to make the ownership fluctuate on him. I actually think that this should be a reasonable week for him. The problem is at that ownership, and we just talk about this all the time. Can it be the right play?
Yeah.
Once you get to that ownership, and to be honest, it kind of never has been. Like, you know what I mean? With Rory, It's how long he hasn't won a major since 2014. Like, how often have you needed him to be optimal in these things? Like, it just feels like the wrong play. The problem is, I do also kind of like him. I like Spieth. I understand that he sort of has a similar thing as you can say very similar things about Spieth and Rory here. But I do like Spieth for what it's worth. I like Cam Smith, but my favorite play in this range is Max Homa. I'll take the local boy again. And by the way, it does worry me with the back spasms whenever a guy withdraws, 2 shots off the lead going into Sunday with Morikawa. But it would have been a Homa Morikawa would have been my favorite 2 guys in this range. I'm a little nervous about Morikawa with the back spasms that he had. Obviously, he'll probably play through that if it happens at the U.S. Open. But it did worry me that he was on a date on a Sunday and he 2 shots off the lead decided to bail out of the tournament. So they must have been pretty serious. But those are my favorite ones. I'm probably going to end up with a little bit more. I may end up with a little more Xander, I should say. But Homa, Smith, Spieth, and then on paper I like Rory, but I don't think I'm going to end up eating the chalk, and I'll probably be underweight on him.
I mean, so we go to the 8Ks. I guess I'll just start with all my talk about maybe not doing my middle ingles. Maybe I will end up just piling on these 8Ks and just doing 8Ks and 7Ks. I don't know. I'll tell you who I like. Unfortunately, it's Finau and Cam Young. I mean, all these are really like Day, Hatton, even Sanjay, who I don't like to play. Dustin Johnson, Hideki. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but I just like the whole range better than the 9K range. So I really have no. If I had to rank them, I guess I'll say Finau barely, but not really. So I'll make the ownership play. I'll say Sanjay. I mean, Sanjay, I'm seeing below 10%, and maybe Hideki, who never gets played. Maybe those 2.
Yeah, I actually like Hideki. I like Hideki, Hatton, and JT. I know Thomas hasn't looked good, but this is the cheapest he's ever been, and I think that there's something there. But my favorite play in this range, I actually think Shane Lowry is going to be the low-owned play. That Shane Lowry and Sam Burns are going to be low-owned, and I think they're both interesting just because of the ownership. But my favorite play in this range is going to be the chalkiest, one of the chalkiest, and that's Dustin Johnson. The Cam Young, if anybody wants to play Cam Young at 25% ownership, I'm going to tell you guys have not watched Cam Young play recently. I think you should be playing Sam Burns, who is in the same sort of boat of sort of struggling along as Cam Young, who's going to have 150 ownership. I'm also not going to play Jason Day, probably, and I'll definitely be underweight. I think that Jason Day, this is a great example to me of this guy has been killing it putting all year, and this is a course where putting really doesn't matter. But I just don't think it's as sustainable. So the ownership, that's my justification for why I'm not going to play them at what I think is going to be extremely high ownership. However, I am playing Dustin Johnson at extremely high ownership. So, whatever. You can say what you will, but I do think Dustin Johnson is the most mispriced here. So
yeah, I would honestly not that you ever would, but I wouldn't get settled in on a play until ownership's kind of changed. Because right now I have Dustin Johnson at 14%. I have Cam Young as only 12% owned. You know what I mean? So
maybe
not that he won't be 20%, but I'm just saying that right now, I don't even know. And it's funny, it all adds up to 600 when I add them all up. So I don't even know where these ownerships are being taken from. Let me show you. For example, this is the ownership. I'll rank them this way. I'll rank them by ownership. I have Justin Rose at the top at 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any of these stand out to you as particularly off, because it all adds up to 600.
Right.
But listen, the way it really works is you don't get a smooth, you know what I mean? You are going to get outliers, right?
It'll fluctuate, and there'll be talk that changes things. Yeah, you're right. But I am going to look at what I think, and I do think, even whatever, but I do think there's an outside chance that Cam Young. The only reason why he won't be crazy popular is because the guys around him are going to be popular somewhat. So what are we talking? Why is Eric talking about the Oakland A's? They're on pace to be the worst team in history of baseball.
And winning the most in fantasy DFS, I think.
I love playing their lineup sometimes, but we're not going to talk about the A's right now. All right, so so let's talk about the 7,500 to 7,900 range. I guess I'll jump out here. Look, I know he's going to be popular. I don't know where the ownership will end up. I am going to play Fleetwood, taking me back to the dream I had a long time ago that somehow I won $1 million and he won the U.S. Open. So also he's in obviously good form after last week. Lost, unfortunately, didn't quite get his first win. You could argue that could have a negative effect, but I just really like him here. I think this is the perfect type of tournament to play him in. I think he's too cheap. So Fleetwood is my favorite. I like Corey Connors a lot for this course. He really let me down last week, but we'll move on. I like Neiman quite a bit. If Bryce ends up really popular, I'll fade him. If he's not popular, I'm going to play a ton of him. And then I like Wyndham Clark and Adam Scott as my next two. I know you're supposed to play some Patrick Reed, but I can't play everybody, and I just named a bunch of names. The most get weird one that I have is Tom Kim. Like literally a couple months ago, if he played this tournament, I think Tom Kim would show up as a pretty chalky play because this is what he's supposed to be good at, hitting it within, he's really, really good, supposed to be good on tough courses. And he's just been bad lately, but there's a lot of guys to like here. And Justin Rose at his ownership, I'm probably going to be below the field, but I do like him. I just think I want to stick to Neiman, Fleetwood. It would be Bryce depending on ownership, and then Wyndham Clark and Adam Scott.
You know what? Fleetwood had like literally 20 million people rooting against him.
Yeah.
And he was, he just came up a little short, and he was great. He was great all weekend, if you want to know the truth. And he seems like the kind of guy who's going to let it roll off him. You know what I mean? Like I think he'll be ready to go. And like you said, he's just too cheap. And these three guys that I put up here on the board, I think all three of these guys are going to be really popular. They're all going to rate out really, really well. And as usual, in this 7K range, I think you're supposed to pivot. I think you're supposed to find pivots. And I think you ended up on a couple of them. I think you said Wyndham Clark, but even he's going to be somewhat popular. I have Bryson DeChambeau like 20% ownership. Someone else can play that. I listen. Remember a few weeks ago, I played him I played like 60% of him, and he was like 4% owned.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, because it was a course where you could freaking it rewarded you for just doing stupid shit. You know what I mean? I don't think this course is like that. I'm not interested. I like the Connors one. I will throw in. I mean, I'm not like for example, if this ownership looks like it's going to hold, I don't need to play an Adam Scott at 15%. I will throw in your the rest of the Say Goodnight Raquel pairing at Mito Pereira at 7,200.
Well, we were only going 7,500 to 8.
Oh, sorry about that. So
we can transition over.
No, that's fine. So let me just say then that at the 7,500 and up, these three on my board are good plays, and I really don't have any good pivots at 7,500 or above. I mean, I think there's 3, and everybody else, like Adam Scott, for example. It's I have him way below these guys and a very similar ownership. I have Keegan Bradley, way below these guys. You know what I mean? Like Patrick Reed, I have him way below these guys. So I think that the way to play this range is either just not play it at all or just get different somewhere else, So that's just my take on that, on the 7,500.
I think there's plenty of other places to get different. They're all going to be owned, but yeah, I mean, pretty much all going to be owned. All right, so I'll jump real quick so wait, did you say this? So I like, I guess I'll just jump into the
You could start. I didn't really get into it yet.
My fault. Mito and Siwoo will be popular, and I like both of them. It's interesting because if Nick Taylor, I actually think that there's an argument for playing him this week. I do think he's an underrated golfer. What has he got? 7 top 10s this year or whatever. He's got 3 PGA Tour wins now. I think Nick Taylor is actually a reasonable pivot off of some of these guys, but it's an emotional week he just had in Canada. He probably is the last one who got to the course. Maybe you don't do it, but it's just a guy I thought I would mention. I'd like Denny McCarthy as my favorite sub 10% likely sub 10% guy. He's been one of the best golfers in the world lately. He and Wyndham Clark have both been awesome, and I think we should be playing him a reasonable amount here. Gary Woodland, I'm open to, but I'm probably going to end up with a fade. Russell Henley is going to be the other popular one who I do like, and I like Minwoo Lee a lot here, as well as Eric Cole. I understand that Eric Cole this is not supposed to be his thing. I just think we just keep playing this guy, man. I'm not going to stop. He's awesome. I'm going to play Eric Cole and Minwoo Lee as Eric Cole, Minwoo Lee, Henley will be my priorities here. I'm also open to Straka, and I don't understand why, but I've had a number of people talking to me about Sergio Garcia.
I think in this particular day, I think you did name the whole range.
No, I didn't. I only named 5 guys.
No, there was a bunch of guys.
No, I named McCarthy, Pereira, Siwoo, Henley, and Eric Cole and Minwoo Lee. That's 6 guys. And then I said, well, I was talking about some guys who were going to have some ownership. I wasn't saying I recommend all these guys.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So I got one more.
Okay.
Throw it. Again, just kind of a low-owned guy in this range is Ryan Fox at 7,100. But I like all the guys that you mentioned more than the chalkier 7,500s. Like all the guys you mentioned, I'd rather play than Bryson. All the guys you mentioned, I would rather play more than Adam Scott, like for example. And all the guys you mentioned, I would rather play more than Patrick Reed. So that's why I say that my builds might end up at the top because I don't really have much of an interest for the 7,500s and up. So I could play all those guys that you mentioned along with kind of the more expensive golfers. So that's kind of, and again, I don't know what Saberson's going to give me, but that's where my instinct is taking me. Yeah,
that makes sense. All right, let's talk about the sub 7Ks, and I'm going to go back to what I always say. I really think you need to be playing at least one of these guys. I just think it's from an ownership thing, from what it opens up. And it's just we see it every tournament. It's almost impossible to end up with the nuts without having one of these guys. So, with that said, this week looks a little bleaker than other weeks we've had in the past sheets. Who are you looking at?
I mean, as always, like my top-rated under 7K guys seems to always be Patrick Rogers, and that's where it is this time. It's not like looks like a lock or anything like that, but he's just a top-rated under 7K guy I have. Next highest rated. Again, you don't need much out of these guys. Is Kuchar. So many of these guys tied, like Moronk, Kitsuyama, Hadwin, Peters. So I guess those guys, that's where I would probably cut it off. Like those 5 would be my top guys. Rogers, Kuchar, Moronk, Kitsuyama, Hadwin, and Peters.
I like all the ones you mentioned. Kitayama would be my favorite, but Hadwin would probably be right there. I think Carson Young. Should we be playing Carson Young over Cam Young these days? He seems to outperform him every tournament.
That's a great idea, actually.
Maybe just play Carson Young. But I think that the more realistic guns I'm going to use are the ones you mentioned: Kitayama, Hadwin, Svensson. I know Svensson was terrible last week, but he's good on these tough courses, and I think that I'm open to him. I'm always a sucker for bucket hat Childaman. I like Adrian Moronk a lot, so I'm definitely going to get some exposure there. I have heard a little bit about this David Puig guy, but I need to look further into it. And then I don't really have anything. I usually have some ideas in the lower range of somebody I might be able to find, or maybe
there's no who do Kenny play of some guy with a name we can't pronounce.
The closest thing would be Gordon Sargent.
What about Romain Lenascu? No, we don't know him.
I don't know anything about him, though.
I don't know either.
Sargent, I do know a little bit about, but I actually think that he's probably if you want to go really dumpster diving, 6,100, he's the ultimate dumpster dive.
Okay, you know what? Boy, Sebastian Munoz, I forgot that he played.
Oh my God, I actually kind of did too.
Yeah. Sam Stevens is not bad. I mean, he can actually play golf.
Yeah, Stevens is not bad.
He's 6,600. Dylan Wu can sort of play golf. I mean, he actually can play golf.
That's not a bad idea, Dylan Wu.
Yeah, but I do agree that someone from here. Actually, I didn't even mean Sam Stevens. I meant Sam Bennett, but Sam Stevens is good too.
Oh, I like Stevens.
So I do think that someone from here is going to be in the winning lineup. I don't know exactly who it's going to be though. So like you said, I mean, you could screw around. You can screw around there. So we're gonna play the game, and then we'll do a bonus thing. We're gonna do a Saber Sim build just to see what we get. Again, like the ownership's gonna change, so whatever. But let's go back into here first. Let's do So let's go and question 1: who is going to win the golf tournament?
Oh, why don't you? Do you mind going first?
No, that's fine. I am going to say I will say Rory McIlroy.
Great. No, Sheets. Why do you have to do that to me? I talk about how I'm going to go below the field on McIlroy.
So you can play 1 in the 4 or something like that. Whatever.
Okay. All right. Well,
you can play those with your Doing Woo, and Gordon Sargent lineups or something.
Yeah. I think the right answer is just to say Scheffler, but I'm going to say Cantlay.
Ooh.
And I never say Cantlay. I'm giving the home court advantage here.
Oh boy, that's awesome. I like that. All right, under 10K to make under 10K to make the top 5. You match Max Homa?
Yeah.
And I will go with Xander.
Oh wow, okay. You're really gonna force me to differentiate some of my builds here.
Well, I'm not. Well, listen, I'm not. This is not ownership based. I'm telling you, this is who I think is gonna.
No, I like it. I know. It's good. I'm actually happy about it.
And when you said Homa, so let's just put this in here. I mean, you can't play a lineup of all these guys, so that's fine. So put Homa, and who did I say? Xander. All right, who under 8K? No, under 9K is going to get top 10.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Tommy Fleetwood, even though he's under 8K.
Okay, I am going to say it's so close to these 2 guys for me. But I will go with the guy who didn't play last week. I'm going to go with Tony Finau.
I'm so mad at you right now.
Finau and who'd you say?
I got to play all these guys.
Well, okay, so I'm going to be the most likely. They're going to be chalky. I mean, like.
Yeah, no, but that's good. Maybe that's good for me. Maybe I need to get a little bit of chalk.
All right, so now under 8K for you, that's not named Tommy Fleetwood.
I should have just said Dustin Johnson because I was going to say Fleetwood for under 8K.
Become top 20.
No, I'm going to top 20. I'm going to say Neiman.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I'll tell you this. I like. I think you could fade Rose from DFS, and I actually don't think he's particularly as likely as whatever. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to double up. I'm going to go with Fleetwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, a bonus one. Okay. All right.
Well, you're not mad at me. You're not mad at me anymore, at least, right?
Well, no, I kind of wanted you to recommend somebody, but
I recommended Fleetwood, so.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, under 7K, who you got?
To make the cut. Remember?
Make the cut.
So it's not going to be someone like Moronk for me. I'll be
Why?
I don't know. All right, I'll go with stupid Kuchar. Fine, Kuchar.
Okay, you got Kuchar. We'll take Kitayama.
Over 9K to miss the cut.
Over 9K to miss the cut. I mean, even though I'm going to play this guy in DFS because he's going to end up completely unowned, I'm going to say Morikawa because of the back spasms.
That is the correct answer. And then I will go with boy, that is so the correct answer. Let me just make sure that there's nobody ranked lower. I'm just gonna go with the lowest. But I can't use this guy. I can't use that guy. So it's just gonna have to be Spieth, I guess. I'm gonna go with Spieth.
All right. So
Now wait. Now I'm gonna do two other things. First, before we leave DFS, I want to do I'm gonna run a Saber sim build. Just again, these are gonna be totally like changed. Okay, but let's just see, just for fun, like what, given what we have now, what we would get if we ran 150. I'm guessing, it seems like it's taking a little time. Fowler, Rose, Fleetwood with a top guy. That's going to be my thing. It's going to be it'll probably be Scheffler with those are. I think those will be the top own. I think they get up to Scheffler, and then with the other ones. All right, here we go. Maybe not. Xander. Okay, it's going to be Xander, and then those guys. Let's see. Fowler number one, as I mentioned. Oh, I forgot Rory. Right. So as I mentioned, Fowler, Day, and Rose, top 3 owned. They just make everything work. Yeah. And Rory, the next highest owned. But again, all these ownerships are just very smooth. So once these things change, and these other guys, and say Rory becomes like 25% instead of the 17 I have, I think this is going to change. When Jason Day becomes like 20% instead of whatever, that's going to change. But just on sheer ability to win, actually not getting too much of the top price guys. Cantlay at 21% ownership is the only guy over 10K, which is getting even more than 10% with these builds, which is kind of annoying. But because I do think one of those top guys is going to win.
Yeah.
But we shall see what I end up doing at the end of this. But that's where I'm at. Is that all that we were doing? No, there's one other thing I want to do. So let's go into the sports book and let's see if we can't find something.
I'll find a couple bets here. Yeah, I like that.
Let's see. And this is like totally like feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like what looks like just too much. Like I'm looking here. I mean, besides Tommy Fleetwood, obviously at 40 to 1. But what else? Let me see. I don't know if Cam Young can actually win this thing.
He definitely can win it because he almost did it. The best, I'm telling you, I've got a couple for you. I like the Fleetwood one, and I really like the Mito bet. I think it's ridiculous.
Who?
Mito.
80 to 1.
He literally had a 6-stroke lead with 7 holes to go at this tournament last year. I know it's a different place, but it's
not a problem because this is what we're doing. Okay. Actually, it's not allowing me to log in because I can do this. I'm not on Zoom, right? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, on Zoom.
All right, here we go. We are betting 3 players, and for those of you who know me and who really know me and know what mood I'm in and all this stuff, I think you should know what I'm going to be doing here. So there are going to be 3 bets. I'm going to bet big. I'm going to bet 100 for each of them. Okay. So the first one at 40 to 1 is going to be the aforementioned Tommy Fleetwood.
Okay. Let's do it.
And because, again, this is the mood I'm in, I'm really into, I'm kind of like a Bobbyfi, kind of fanboy at this moment. So we are going to bet Mito Pereira at 80 to 1. And just to cap off the Bobbyfi tribute band, we are going to go Joaquin Neiman.
I love it.
We're going to go Raquel, and Tommy Fleetwood. It just doesn't get any better than that, right?
1, 2, 3 for those guys, and I'll be making a lot more money than even these bets will pay off.
So we're going to play these 3 bets.
That's awesome.
Yep. And there we go. We are in.
All right. I love it.
Yep.
Well, let's make some money this weekend, guys. Good luck, everybody. I'll be rooting for you.
Wait, I have to pump something else up. As long as we're promoting stuff, I presume that Bobby, you're posting stuff on State Kings.
Yeah.
So I will be also purchasing. You guys better hurry because I'm in that mood. I'm telling you, if you don't pick up Bobby's State King stuff, I am going to be just obliterating all of it. So
I love it.
Everybody make sure that you buy Bobbyfi on State Kings because he's got the home field advantage. he's ready to go, and I'm just kind of feeling it. You know what? He's coming to New York soon, hopefully. You know, we haven't hung out in a while. So it's really like the Sheets Hearts Bobby Firestone day today. We buy all his stuff there. I'll be betting his favorite golfers, and rooting for him to win the 888 on DraftKings tonight.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Let's get it. Good luck to everybody, and yeah, have a good weekend.